Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today we are going to fly once more the Honda Jet. Now this is one that I didn't touch in a little while, and in the meantime it got a lot of updates, so I'm quite excited to be flying this one again. Well, the latest update is it just got Navigraph chart implementations back through Navigraph's in simulator module, and that is something that I'm really looking forward to. We're currently standing in Kiel Airport in northern Germany, and this is going to be a short 100 nautical mile hop over towards Bremen. So we've got a full load of passengers today, as we can see, with all 5 seats really filled up. The only seat that we didn't fill is the one in the very back of the airplane, well, for obvious reasons. Okay. So let's head straight back into it and get the airplane flying. The good thing about the Honda, just like the Vision Jet by the way, is you power it up and then it basically tells you everything you need to do via the on-screen checklist. So that is what we are going to use today. Okay, so nonetheless, it still is an airliner, so you don't fly it read and do, but you know, you kind of can. In any case, I am going to show you, or rather I did show you already, I did already post a tutorial on this. Okay, we've got external power applied, that is probably the most important thing over here. So yeah, SimBrief import, it does work, and we could use it, however I am a little bit of a fan of doing these things manually, so for that reason that is exactly what I'm going to do. Okay then. Let's get going. At origin, Echo Delta, Hotel Kilo. Hold now. Yes, please. At destination, Echo Delta Delta, Whiskey, Bremen. Procedure, departure. We are going to depart today on the, let's see, Renzu 1 November departure of runway 26. And that is just down here, Renzu 1 November 26. Load that up, please. And then we can get our charts out straight away, pretty much. So, charts, selection, and obviously that thing did not want to activate the Navigraph charts. That is unfortunate. I swear I have done that before, but it might have deleted the stuff. Okay, in any case, we can quickly do that again and allow, thank you, here we go. So now you've also seen how to activate those. Okay then, let's see, departure, Renzu 1 November, straight out and a slight left-hand turn, initial climb clearance 4000. Okay, easy. Any restrictions on that? Not really, yeah? Okay, let's see. We go straight out, straight out. 201 is an overfly waypoint. We've got that in here. And then it's via 205 towards Renzu above 4000. We've got 205 Renzu above 4000 in the climb. Perfect. Okay, so that was quite easy. Then let's quickly add a couple of airways, and then we are done already. So, Renzu, load airway. And this is going to be via the November 125 to Whiskey Sierra November. Load. And then finally Lima 23 towards Gimba. And that's it. Lima 23, Gimba, load, done. Okay, procedure, arrival. Into Bremen we have the Gimba to Papa, or we can simply go approach, and we want an ILS Zulu approach runway 27, and we take the Gimba 27 transition, and indeed that is what we are going to do. Alright, and with that, our flight plan is completely built. Perfect. Let's quickly check out the VNAV stuff. So climb 210 Mach 0.57, 250 knot restriction below 100, well yeah, okay, and 200 knots within 4 miles of the airport, that's fine with me. Cruise schedule looks good. And descent schedule looks good as well. Okay, perfect. Then, speedbox, we are going to get them straight from the sim and all on. Perfect. Okay then, last thing, utilities, initialization. Start with the tests, please. So, engine fire being checked. Stick shaker works. And the right one as well. And then switch illumination. Not too many switches in this plane, but you can see it works. Okay, perfect. So that's the test completed. Then weight and fuel. We can basically synchronize them all directly from the sim. That's the easy version. In here looks good, and looks good. Why does it say fuel reserves in gallons and then in pounds? That's a bit strange. Let's see if we can change that. Okay, should be under sim options. No, that's just the payload. But we didn't want to change that. Look at that, it's in pounds here and then kilos there. That's a bit strange. Okay, well. We're just gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna touch it. We'll just keep it as it is then. Even though I am kind of tempted to get that sorted, but let's see, setup, avionics setting, that's probably where it is. Units, okay. Magnetic, nautical, feet, Celsius, fuel. In pounds, please. Thank you. Weights, also in pounds. Good. Alerts, touchdown callout, what's that? Okay, yeah, we want those. MFD field, we'll leave it unchanged, and the alert voice as well. Okay, perfect. So with that, we should be good to go. Okay then, let's get out the checklist and start working our way through it. Before starting engines checklist. Why did the external power disconnect? Well, anyway. Okay, battery on. Oxygen. So that's checked, on and norm. Pressurization, norm. Electrical, on and norm. ELT, norm. Nose wheel steering, norm. Landing gear, down. Alternate gear release handle. Stowed, parking brake, set, flaps. Up, thrust levers, cutoff, speed brake, retracted, ice protection, normal and off, fuel panel, normal, trim panel, checked, set and normal, windshield heat panel, normal, pneumatic panel, normal, glare shield panel, dark, chime, normal, avionic initialization complete, before starting engines checklist complete. Okay then, that's pretty much everything we need. Then let's get our taxi chart back on. And I'm going to bring this into full screen view because it will be quite a bit more handy to use later on. Okay, cool. So then we can continue with our checklists on the PFD. That's something that I really like on the Honda Jet. The only thing that I forgot, of course, was to pre-select our altitude. But here we go, 4000 is set, and the QNH today is 1006. We can synchronize the heading buck already, and finally we can select 1006 on the standby as well. Okay, cool. So, flight director into toga mode, and that should be all. Cool, let's go ahead with the engine start. Passenger briefing complete, rudder pedals adjusted, seats and seatbelts adjusted and secure, doors closed, parking brake set. Cast messages, nothing important on there. Reviewed electrical voltage, that is over here, and that's 23.5 minimum. So, engine start, engine number 1, press. Thrust lever into idle. Okay, and from then, engine instruments checked, engine anti-ice to go. Number 1 is starting up. You could hear that the external power has been disconnected by the ground crew. And with that we can go ahead and repeat the same for engine number 2. Starter is on. And that's a good start in number 2. Right, cool, let's continue the checklist. Engine anti-ice, off, external power, disconnect, and the flight controls. Up, down, left, right, neutral. Okay, the cabin power can be turned on. Thank you. And flight controls free and correct. Starting engine checklist complete before taxi checklist. Wing anti-ice. Off transponder code, entered flight ID, confirmed flight plan, entered navigation source, FMS, altimeters, 1006, flaps. Okay, let's bring him into the takeoff setting. Okay, flaps set for takeoff, speed brake, check, then retracted. And then cabin signs. Whoops. Okay, they are... Wait a second. What did I miss? Okay, cabin signs on, park and brake, about to be released. Okay, and in the meantime, let's go aircraft systems, system controls, interior lights. Here they are. They are turned on. Okay, cool. Park and brake release before taxi checklist complete. So that's the brake off. We make a 180 to the right and then via Delta and Bravo to runway 26. Right side is clear. So, taxi checks. Brakes, checked. Nose wheel steering, checked. Flight instruments, checked. Taxi checks complete. Windsock is still nicely shining into our direction. Did it say shining? Okay, it's late at the time I'm recording this. But you get where I'm going with that. Okay, we'll taxi all the way up front to the holding point, then we do the last checks, and then we go. I really like those small little airports like Kiel over here, which by the way is freeware, available from flightsim.to. Really recommendable, very good scenery, and it's for free after all. And I don't know, it just feels great to taxi, you know, past those forests and everything. In an airline you always have so much distance. Okay then, let's line up. Left side is clear, right side is clear. Okay, I want to take as much runway as possible, since it really isn't that long. That was interesting behavior here. Come on, airplane. How much power do you need to go uphill? Oh, it's quite a bit, 52%. That's interesting. But yeah, Microsoft Flight Simulator. You go full rudder in order to make a turn, and all of a sudden you have drag like a brick. In any case, we made good a couple of meters of runway, so that's better than nothing. Alright, cool. Again, the airplane takes care of all the systems itself, so we don't need to worry about that. Let's get our departure chart open, and we want the plan mode. Yeah, thank you. And with that, I would say before takeoff checklist. Flaps set for takeoff, trims. We can give it a little bit of trim, even though it's a little strange that the green arc is that slow all of a sudden. It used to be a lot bigger. Okay, trim set, speed brake, retracted, CAS messages, reviewed, navigation set, flight guidance set, takeoff landing data, confirmed, takeoff briefing complete, radar off, ice protection off, before takeoff checklist complete. Okay, next up is going to be the after takeoff checklist. And with that, I would say we are more than ready to go. Okay, like so. Cool, ready? Takeoff. Thrust set. 80 knots. V1. Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Okay, 400 feet. $150 knots. Bubble change. Nav. Prime thrust set. Autopilot. Okay. Cool, let's continue the climb. We want to go all the way up to flight level 240. By the way, look at how easy it is to set that altitude. It really jumps in very nice ways down there. I absolutely appreciate that. Okay, so 240 set. Then we can do the after takeoff checklist. So, landing gear, up, yaw damper, engaged, flaps. Okay, we can retract those. So, flaps are up, thrust levers, MCT, flight guidance on, ice protection off, cabin signs as required, after takeoff checks complete. Sometimes I really wonder why there are so many auto markers in this simulator. I mean, there's not really any reason for it, is there? The sim just thinks like, yeah, I want auto markers. It's cool. Okay, set standard. Passing level 5-8 now. Overshot the turn tiny bit there. But overall, what it's doing does look alright. After all, the 201 waypoint was an overflight point, but it did draw that correctly, so it just initiated the turn a tiny bit late there. So, in case you've been wondering, right now we're flying through Class Echo airspace. For that reason, I'm kinda focused on looking out and not doing too much. I just basically want to get out of the Echo airspace, and once we're above level 100, I'm going to do a little bit more of system stuff. And now we're passing 100. So the pressurization is looking good, 4 psi. And then we can do our climb checklist. So, pressurization checked, altimeters. That's done that. Climb checklist complete. Okay, so First things first, let's get ourselves a direct. And the big chart might be a little bit better for that. So, what might be sensible? Well, I'd say Whiskey Sierra November. And looking at the route that we're about to fly, looking at the altitude over which we are crossing over Hamburg over here, I see absolutely no reason why we would not get that direct. So, let's go. Flight plan, Whiskey Sierra November, direct 2, activate. Here we go. Typically, when you're flying IFR below level 100, you want to stay on the published routes, because those are published for VFR traffic as well. And that simply means they have a basic idea where IFR traffic is going to be. Not that I would expect any VFR pilots to actually see an IFR guy, especially when you're flying at decent speeds, like right now we're doing 210 knots. In my previous airline, it was SOP to fly in Class Echo airspace no more than 220, but I know about at least one other airline here in Germany that actually always flew the flap 1 speed. So they always extended flaps 1 and then flew that speed. And there was actually an accident investigation after a mid-air collision in Germany, and they did a little bit of research and determined that if you approach with, I believe it was 100 knots, so one airplane has 100 knots, the oncoming airplane also has 100 knots, and you do a proper scan of the area outside. And a proper scan means you look to the left, focus on something for 1 second, then move 10 degrees further, focus on it for 1 second, 10 degrees further, focus, and so on. You can see we've got like 180 degrees that we can cover over here. That is 18 seconds. The chance to spot an airplane when it is really on a collision course and still have time to avoid that collision at 200 knots is between 2 and 3 seconds. So you get how much of luck you need in order to avoid a possible collision by spotting the other airplane on time. It really isn't easy, and that really is a thing. And for that reason, the slower you go in airspace echo, the more reasonable it is. Now, should you fly flaps full and your final approach speed? No. But do something reasonable. Don't just do 250 knots just because you are theoretically allowed to do 250 knots. Okay then, passing flight level 200, pressurization is looking good, cabin is climbing, passing 3,500, that is all perfect. Our top of descent is coming in on the VSD as well already, but that is not quite accurate because that takes the entire route in account, and we do not really want to fly that, so we'll build in a little shortcut in a moment. Okay, 2,000 to go. Vertical speed. So, one option that was added to the Honda Jet a little while ago, but I didn't really fly it since then, is, well, let's call it auto throttle, knowing that it really isn't. Now, what do I mean with that? Well, there is a system implemented in the Honda Jet that kind of works like an auto throttle, and it does actually exist, but for the very latest version of the Honda Jet in real life. So that's what we see happening right here, and you can see it's really working like an auto throttle. 1,000 to go. Okay, so what else is there? Well, we kind of should start planning our descent and looking into it. From Gimba, we are more or less going to turn directly into the base. Let's have a look into the chart, and then you'll see what I mean. So, Bremen, arrival. That would be the stars, and as you can see over here, Gimba is only 10 miles north of Bremen Airfield, so if we take Gimba at 6,000 feet maybe, that should give us more or less a good profile. So let's go here, Gimba, we want 6,000, and most importantly we want it at 6,000, enter.
Vertical track.
And straight away we get the vertical track message. Because, let's see. Yeah, it wants us to start the descent straight away. That's fine, we can do that. We just reached 240. Looks like Simreef kinda messed up the flight plan there. And then, level change. Okay, descent 270, flight level change 270. Then we can arm VNAV. Flight right onto the, oh, that's a neat little angle for the descent there. 12 degrees. That is the descent angle. Okay, it is recovering though. It's getting back to the VNAV path. I should probably not have used level change mode, but rather vertical speed or something the likes. That would have been a lot nicer for the passengers, really. Okay, here we go though. Looks alright to me now. So we still need to prepare for the approach, so let's quickly get the ILS Zulu runway 27 automatically selected. Minimum's 214, let's go ahead and enter that. So min's 214 barrow, then 110.9, 266. So let's go to the radio. 109 has automatically been tuned. 266, I believe the courses are going to be tuned automatically as well. And look at that, it's flying itself into the overspeed. Well, it is slowly recovering. I mean, probably I should just... I'm doing things to the auto throttle that's not really meant to be done, so... I can't blame it, let's put it that way. I can't blame it. Okay, in the meantime, cruise checklist. Well, altimeters, altitude set, systems monitored, cruise checks complete. And the descent checklist is only for once we are clear to an altitude. Okay. Neat. So, flying exactly the red line. That is what business jets tend to do. Alright, I'm happy with it though. I'm happy with it. Those aircraft are tested for flying quite a bit faster. So, as an example, in the Boeing 747, the maximum operating Mach number is 0.88, I believe. I do know for certain that Boeing test flew the airplane to Mach 0.99. And then they take a safety margin off that, and that's it. Similar thing with the Airbus. If you fly it into the overspeed on the indications, not only is the fly-by-wire going to allow you to fly into it, 4 knots by default up to 16 if you push the stick forward, but what the fly-by-wire knows is the airplane has been tested to a lot higher speed. So, yeah, you are in the overspeed, but you are in the legally certified overspeed. There is a lot of margin in that. And for that reason, so many business jets fly at the maximum speed, because they know, like, yeah, okay, if I go a couple knots over it, it's not going to break the airplane. Is that an attitude for an airline pilot to adopt? No. But seeing that we're sitting in a flight simulator here, and seeing that we are flying, well, a simulator, going 270 knots is totally fine for me. Okay then, let's do a little bit of an approach briefing here. Should have Hamburg anywhere down to the left, and then we are going to get radar vectors for the ILS Zulu approach runway 27, and that's frequency 110.9, course 66, and the minimum 214 selected. The approach starts at Rockville at 3,000 feet. We got a 3-degree glide path. A little bit hard to read on there, but it is a 3-degree glide path. Going down to a minimum of 214. In case of missed approach, climb straight ahead 2.2 dm Bravo Mike November or 3 dm Bravo November Delta. Then turn left to the VOR, climb 3000. So let's say 1745, we can set that on the standby radios. Just so that we have a conventional backup of the flight plan, just in case we need it. Pretty much like so. 1,000 to go. Okay, let's continue the descent. We'll go down to level 100 at first. Do notice how the altitude always comes up exactly at the 1,000 when you put it down. I really appreciate that. It's one of those small little details that make your life as a pilot a lot easier, and looks like Marvin has gone for that. I do appreciate that. Okay then, final thing, we are going to land on runway 27, so we vacate right onto Charlie, and then via Golf or via Zulu, something of the likes, and we end up directly at the apron. If we look at the parking stand chart, we can see it a little bit better. So we vacate the runway in Charlie, then left into Golf, Echo, and we are going to park somewhere over here. Alright, and that is it. Any questions on the briefing? No? Okay. Then we are once again going to enter airspace class Echo on the arrival in. So let's quickly go to the flight plan. VNAV. Descent. Altitude speed limit. I want 220 knots at 10,000 feet, please. Thank you. In case you're wondering, in a jet like this we can easily adjust this in the descent, because the VNAV doesn't work on an idle path profile as it does in, for example, a Boeing or an Airbus. In those business jets, they have so much drag that they are easily going to be able to reduce that speed even if I adjust the profile in the descent without any problems. I mean, look at the thrust right now. You're at almost 60% N1. And the only reason why it's working like that is in order to keep a decent pitch. You've seen earlier that the plane could easily pitch down to 12.5 degrees of pitch, and for the passengers that is really not that nice. It is a common misconception in flight simulation that passengers would notice vertical speed. They don't. But what they do notice is the deck angle of the airplane. So if you're pitching down like 12.5 degrees, that is what passengers will notice. Especially in a business jet where you don't have a cockpit door, so they can look outside and all they see is the terrain. They don't see the sky at all anymore. And I've had that situation a couple of times on the 737, and it certainly was quite interesting. But for a passenger, I don't want to be in that situation. Okay, let's continue the descent all the way down to 3,000. Target speed is going down, 220. Okay then. Set altimeters 1006, passing 9,900, descent 3,000, no flag, stand by set. And then we can run the descent checklist. So, landing field elevation, 62 feet set, engine anti-ice, off, altimeters, QNH 1006. Descent checklist complete. Holding at the approach checks. Okay, approaching Dietmar. We'll soon enter the transponder mandatory zone. Is there even a Class Delta airspace over Bremen? There probably is by now. But as far as I remember, that's only like below 6,000 feet. I might be totally mistaken on that. But nonetheless, flying at slower speed certainly isn't wrong. So, you know, if there's any doubt, well, if there's any doubt, check the chart, obviously. But in terms of flight simulation, you know, just fly it a bit slower. And it's not gonna hurt anyone. Okay, let's go heading select, and we start a left-hand turn onto 160. Okay, activate vectors to final. Thank you very much. Pitch. Let's go vertical speed, 1500 feet a minute. So, 15 miles to the south. That means we're probably a little bit high right now. Let's do 2,000 feet a minute. We'll leave the speed target where it is. It should automatically reduce. By the way, let me use the opportunity. I'll go level change for now. It's going to pull off the thruster. Now look what happens. Pitching down like 7.5 degrees. If you look at it from the outside, it doesn't look too good, does it? It's not like the airplane couldn't easily do it, that's not a problem at all. But it's more like, do you want it to do it like that? Okay, let's go a little bit further to the left. We can see Rockbo is still a bit to our right. Something like 140 should work rather well. Okay, and then let's go vertical speed. And give it like 1,500 feet a minute. That should be absolutely fine. Even 1,000 should work. Okay, approach checklist. Seats and signs, adjusted and secure. Passenger briefing complete. Cabin signs, we never put them off. Avionics, set. Landing data, set and confirmed. Cast messages checked. Approach briefing completed. Holding at the flaps. The only thing that I really need to check... Yeah, it didn't put the speed box on automatically. Okay, perfect. Now they're on. I could swear I remembered something. And indeed, I was right. Okay, we have like 10 miles left towards Rockbo. Let's see, can we see the field anywhere? Yeah, that looks like it. $1,000 to go. Okay, so I'm sure there will be some comments coming about it, so I'll just say it straight away. If you look into the airplane systems and you go to the controls, you have exterior lights and everything is set to the normal position over here. That means the airplane just turns everything on by the computer. You don't even have to touch it as a pilot. Similarly, if you go to the controls and the interior lights, then the seatbelts are simply on. And in there, you can change stuff like system brightness and so on, but the plane really takes care of itself, and that's the overall idea behind the Honda Jet design. Basically, you as pilot should need to touch as little as possible. Let's go manual speed and start bringing it back towards 180 for the approach. Like so. It's just incredible how good it decelerates, isn't it? I mean, look at that tramp vector. Okay, right hand turn, heading 180 onto the base. And then we can continue the turn all the way to the intercept heading. Okay, heading 240, cleared ILS. Approach armed.
Vertical track.
And looking at the curve line over there, it looks like we are going onto perfect intercept there. Localizer. From heading set. Okay, let's bring the speed back to 160. That's our airport over there. Flaps approach. Let's see what the automatics give us now. 150. That's fine for me as well. Okay, and the approach checklist is complete. Landing checklist next. With glide slope capture, let's quickly see what the missed approach altitude was again. 3,000 feet set. Okay, let's go all manual.
Autopilot.
I do want a little bit of hands-on flying at least. The autopilot's doing a good job mostly, but, you know, nothing's better than flying a plane yourself. Okay then, gear down.
$2,000.
Flaps landing. By the way, the flight director works fairly well in this. Did you see how I immediately followed it, and indeed we stayed pretty much exactly on the profile. Okay, speed coming back towards 110. That's perfect. Oh, a little too much thrust there. Man, you can really use that flight director. I'm impressed. Okay, landing checklist. Landing gear, down, speed brake, retracted, flaps, landing,
1,000.
airspeed, VREF, autopilot, yaw damper. Well, we'll put the yaw damper off in a second. Actually, it does go off automatically at 20 feet with the latest update, so let's watch it do that. We'll just tick it off in the checklist. Okay, and that is everything done. So, let's see how that landing is going to work out. My first Honda jet landing in quite a while, I have to say.
$500.
500, continue.
$400.
So the Honda isn't classified as a very light jet just for fun.
300.
You can really feel how it's quite susceptible to any disturbances in the atmosphere over here. I'm quite surprised actually that there are so few, but when there are any, you
200.
really see it straight away. Okay, minimum.
Minimums.
Continue.
$100.
So, flight director brings us in a little bit high.
50. 30. 10. 5.
Okay, the very end of the touchdown zone. But what can you do? Okay, that's our exit over here. Little fast, but here we go. That was quite a bit of braking. Okay, so that landing thing is complete. So, after landing, cabin signs on, engine anti-ice off, speed brake, retracted flaps, up, trims, in green band, after landing checks complete. Okay, so we'll go to the left, to the general aviation parking. Then we can go left once more. And that looks good. Okay, over here we would normally get a marshal out. We wouldn't taxi on here on our own. So since we don't have marshals over here in the sim, it means we simply have to take whatever is good for us. So why not just make our lives easy? By the way, how close is that line here to the exit of the apron? Yeah, okay. It's actually not as bad as I thought. It's quite alright, actually. Man, this plane is smaller than I thought. I mean, well, the A330 might spoil me a little bit right now. But anyway, you get where this is going. Okay. Let's pick a parking just on the left over here. And we go all the way around. Pretty much like this. Right, cool, shutdown checklist. Parking brake set, wheel chocks installed, engine anti-ice off, external power off, thrust levers cut off, cabin signs. Now we need to touch them. Finally. Too many lights here. Okay, cabin signs off, oxygen off, parking brake released, and the battery can go off. That's the shutdown checklist complete. Thank you, and off. And that's it already. So, our first flight in the Honda Jet in quite a while. It was a little troublesome at times, but I do tend to say that we recovered pretty much everything. So overall, quite an enjoyable little flight. And overall, taking into account the price of the Honda, I really have to say I like it quite a bit. It is, after all, a very light jet to be flown by, well, obviously professional pilots, but, you know, a little bit more the private kind of pilots than, for example, the Globals and the Falcons and stuff like that. So, still an enjoyable plane. The latest update brought the Navigraph charts back and auto thrust and so on, so that is quite something that I like. I should invest a lot more time into flying this. I honestly need to say that. But nonetheless, it is still a heck lot of fun to fly this. So, thanks for watching, everyone. I do hope you liked this one. If you did, do leave a like. Leave a comment to let me know what you think about the video and what I can improve on. Certainly there is going to be something. And finally, if you are up for more, then subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you all again on the next one.